Welcome back to the third video in the series of videos on the TMC YouTube channel where Matt the Lesser kindly gave us the VODs, as he doesn't have a YouTube channel yet himself, to put up of his turn-based streams from the Terra Mystica Tuesday League. If you're joining now, it's worth watching videos 1 and 2, and in video 1 I talk about why I think these great videos are really worth your time. I am not going to be drinking from my Terra Mystica cup in this one because my cat drank from it. So, see you again at the end for, as usual, some Terra Mystica trivia. I haven't found the trivia yet, so I'm just going to do my research for the trivia now. Enjoy the VODs.
Hello everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of the turn-based Division 1 TMTL check-in. I recognize starting a little later than normal. It's about 4:30 here Pacific time, so 7:30 on the East Coast, and probably a little too late for our European friends, but hopefully some of you can watch the VOD. The turn-based league has made a lot of progress over the weekend and the last few days of last week, so wanted to do a check-in. We have a couple games that are basically at the end, so want to talk about how those finished out and give a little thoughts, and then check in on the remaining two that are still in progress. So let's jump into it. So we'll start with this one. As many of you probably remember, this is Fire and Ice map, Fire and Ice factions, landscapes on no extra scoring, and I am playing the Ice Maidens. So last time we checked in, I believe it was early in round 5, and at the time I was contemplating really how much I wanted to do in round 5. Round 5 was the temple round, so knew I wanted to get out my third temple so that I would pass for 9 points with my Ice Maiden Stronghold. But then beyond that, wasn't sure how much I really wanted to do. And I ended up deciding that it was worth it to go ahead and pass pretty early. So I passed early on to Ship VP, which is going to score me a nice 9 points this round, in addition to the 9 points that I'm going to get from my Ice Maiden Stronghold. And I have a plethora of resources. Already in round 6 here now, I have taken the coins action, advanced my digging, and now I'm going to start building out. It's a very interesting game coming down to the wire here. So if you remember correctly, last time the Riverwalkers elected to use their landscape to get further to the west and abandon these two structures in the middle from ultimate connection. This means that most likely Simon is going to max out at basically either 3 or 4 structures short. He currently has a stronghold, a temple, and a TP on his board. He will definitely be able to build stronghold, TP, dwelling. That much is clear, and probably one more TP. Whether or not he gets that final dwelling down is going to be a little bit dependent on which towns he takes. He's got enough coins, so if he wanted to build, for example, stronghold, TP, stronghold, 2 TPs and 2 dwellings, I think that's 10 workers and 16 coins. 16 coins if I'm doing my math right. So he's close. He's got basically 16 coins if he uses all his powers, coins, and 1 worker short, not counting the priest. So all you have to do is take a worker town. He still has 2 towns incoming, so I think that's probably where he's going to end up, unless Halflings decides to do something like dig I2 to mess with him, as this is really his last dwelling spot that's available based on the colors that he's unlocked. He did unlock blue at the beginning of this round and grabbed H2 right out the gate, as that was necessary for him. And once I get to 3 ship, I could have threatened that. So it makes a lot of sense for Simon. Barnawall playing Darklings last round, finished a town. and actually, sorry, finished 2 towns, both this one in the center and the one in the sort of north central west. Took a couple priests, did so with Fire 2. So he set himself up nicely and is currently just slightly in the points lead. He's on track for another town and probably a couple dwellings after that. He does still need to advance his 1 ship, which means that he's either got to take a priest action or a ship town in order to get more dwellings down. He's going to have to dig like H7, H8 or I6, I5. I don't have to make this decision yet, but I will probably later in this round have to make the decision of whether or not I want to dig something to block him from getting his last dwelling down. He will be able to do that. I think he's going to build Stronghold because it's a stronghold around, and that opens up this camp dwelling for him. But either way, he needs somewhere to put it, and so his combination of priest shortage plus the hexes that have to be dug means I may have an opportunity to block him, and we'll have to consider that, because for him that would be 14 on network. Simon, I think, is going to get to 15, and so I'm probably going to be right in that range too, and we'll have to decide. But I'm not quite there yet. And then finally, Rafa built out his sanctuary town in the center here, and as well as started to come around here down to the sort of south central west. Remains to be seen whether he's trying to build another town down here. I'm not positive he has enough resources, and he doesn't have any power, which means he can't build a bridge from E1 to G2, which would be the probably most efficient way to get that town. So he may just be going for this 1 town up in the northeast. The one thing Rafa still hasn't done, and at this point he really may not, is build on E6, which is posing a lot of problems for me in my final round, as I don't have any neighbors. So what I would love to do, obviously, is build out 1 more town. I've done the calculations. I think I have enough to do it, even if I have to build an expensive TP, but it is going to be a little bit tight. So we're gonna try to do that. We're gonna try to build out a town over here. I'm gonna need to build 2 TPs and 5 dwellings. One of which I already have a hex here. So in hindsight, if you guys remember last time, I didn't build this on D10 because I was thinking about what I wanted to do for the rest of the round, and I was thinking about trying to advance my digs and dig out a bunch of space last round because I was a little worried about it. In the end, I didn't do either of those things, so that was a planning mistake. Like, I'd have 1 more worker if I had gone ahead and built on D10. I certainly ended up with the resources given that I passed early. So if I end up 1 worker short, I'll only have myself to blame. But I think I'm going to be okay. As far as who's going to win, I haven't done the math yet. I think it's pretty close. I'm definitely excited for my 18-point pass. I probably will have to take I have a feeling this is going to end up with me taking a power town or something, because I think I'm going to be one of the last ones to form, assuming I get there. And I'm going to need some coins to advance ship, because I think I'm going to have to spend pretty much everything I have just to get this town out, especially given that I'm going to have to build an expensive TP. But I think I can do it. So anyways, for now, it's not my turn in this game. It's Barnawal's turn, so wait for him. But my next action is just going to build D10 and then start trying to build some of these hexes, and maybe if Rafa's really nice, he'll come sit on E6, but probably not. So we'll keep an eye on this game. I think it's going to be really tight among everyone. Rafa might be a little bit behind. Last thing to point out in this game is I'm not doing quite as well on the cults as I had hoped to. I do have a couple extra priests. I only need 1 more for a ship advance. When I passed last round, I realized right after I did it that I probably should have sent another priest to fire first. But now I'm probably going to lose fire to Simon, which is unfortunate. And I think his 2 towns are going to be a worker town and a cult town. If he, for some reason, doesn't take a cult town, then he might need to use that priest as a worker, so I might be able to sneak in like a tie on fire, or maybe a cult town myself if it doesn't get taken. Although the 8-pointers tend to be pretty popular in round 6, so I don't anticipate that's going to be the case. So that's a little sad in the end here. Rafa's got plenty of ability to protect Earth, so I don't think attacking that is going to be particularly fruitful. On the other hand, I don't really see a lot of temples being built. Everyone has built their sanctuary already, and last round was the temple round, so there aren't a ton available, and people who wanted to get them out have them out. So I think there'll be a little less movement on the Colts. I'm currently scoring 20 points, which a little less than I would hope for as the Ice Maidens, but not terrible. So that's that game. Okay. So this game is over. I'm about to pass for my last time in round 6. And assuming I've done my math right, I won't do it for you guys live because you don't want to listen to that, but I'm assuming I'm doing my math right. Barnawal is going to win as Fakir's, and everyone's been congratulating him in the chat already. I'm going to finish second. Rafa as Alchemist is going to finish third, and Melison's going to come in fourth as Witches. This game, as you know, if you've been following the streams, was going very positively until the Witches decided to mess with me. And I don't know if it caused him to finish last. I think he mostly was able to do what he wanted, but it definitely hindered, I think, any chance I had to win the game. But ultimately, Barnawal played a really nice game here. He was able to get 2 towns in round 6 in the town round. He used the stronghold to very effectively to increase his range before getting a town, which allowed him to delay his towns to score them properly, and the two range was enough to get all over the map. And he's won distance scoring by getting all the way down into the corner with I-12. I know, George, damn Witches, they really did screw me over here. But double Econ Fakir's allowed him to build the stronghold. He was still able to secure a copy of Earth 1, and ultimately he pulled it out. Me playing Swarmlings helped him a little bit in the sense that he was able to get 6 network points without a particularly large network. He has no TPs on the board here at the end of the game, which as a Fakir without Fave 10 is pretty efficient. And still managed to win a cult. So really nice game by Barnawal. He actually dig bombed a little bit at the end. He advanced his digging as Fakirs and had 3 priests still and 6 workers to throw. That's why these hexes I9 and D7 are green. It was after Witches had passed, and I think Barnawal thought it would be a little funny to turn them green, which we all had a good laugh at. And so that's how the game went for him. As for the Witches, Melson did say in chat at one point that he advanced his shipping at one point when he actually intended to advance his digging. He did end up with fully advanced shipping and digging anyways, so we'll have to ask him if that actually meaningfully set back his plans. But I think it was in either round 4 or round 5, and so that ordering might have cost him doing a little bit of what he wanted to do. But ultimately, I think Witches here, they just were a little short on the expansion scoring. So even going from I2 to D8, he's getting he's only getting second on expansion scoring, and only formed 2 towns in the round 6. Well, 2 towns total, both of them in the round 6 town round. And so that plus he was the one without Earth 1 and added it all up, and he just fell a little bit short. And the Alchemists, I think the biggest problem for the Alchemists was their town around this stronghold getting cut off. So this was a really smart move back in round either 4 or 5 by Fakirs to double dig C2 right out the gate. combined with the witches having taken G1 the prior round, meant that town was dead. Rafa still found a way to get 3 towns, but he had to do this northern town with no neighbors, which was quite painful. And even this southern one, he still had to build 1 expensive TP as well. So he just had to do some very expensive towns, and I think that's what brought his score down a little bit. And then finally, my swarmlings, you know, getting cut off and not being able to build out that 3rd town hurt quite a bit. I also, since the last check-in, in round 5, I ended up having to build my 2nd town around early, because it was basically building the town, because of the 3 worker bonus that you get from the swarmlings when you form a town, allowed me to build 2 more dwellings in that round, which was a dwelling round. And so it only ended up costing me 1. It was only 1 point fewer on the track, because I basically was able to build 3 dwellings instead of just 1, but cost me the town scoring points. So that's a difference of 4. But also it crucially allowed me to out delay the alchemists. And so I ended up on the big building past tile for round 6, whereas he ended up not on a scoring tile at all. So I think that was ultimately the right move and beneficial. But it could have been even better, obviously, if I'd been able to both get the tile and still score the town in the town round. So anyways, I mean, 2nd place is nothing to be ashamed of here. Really nice game by Barnawall, and so pretty happy with this one out. And so pass. Score a nice little 12 on the pass. Moving on. Okay, now here's the other game that's getting pretty close to ending, and one that I really need to look at a little bit more, because I did the math on this one, and if my calculations are correct, I'm going to come in 3rd. I think it's actually really tight between Rafa and Mellison at the top, and I think I'm in a pretty clear 3rd, and Mermaids are in a pretty clear 4th. The reason I'm saying that I really need to look back is that this whole game, I really thought I was at least contending with Rafa for 1st, or at the very least in 2nd. So a combination of how did I not score quite as many points here as I thought I was on track to do? And at the same time, how did Chaos Magician score as many points as they did? He really got trapped over here in the West. Did manage to form 2 towns, but it kind of felt like he wasn't doing that much during the game. He missed the town in the town round, didn't get the 2 key town. All these things that typically are not great for Chaos Magicians. I guess despite the not getting the 2 key town, like, one thing I know that went well is he's going to still score 24 cold points, which is really strong, and managed to put up 120 on the board here. He was the 40 faction, so started with the most, but I'm still a little bit surprised at how this ran out. Yeah, so that's a little sad, because I did everything that I wanted to do. I was able to build my town in the center south. I was able to grab D7. I'm connected on 1 ship. I'm going to get out 16 structures, which, one of them is a landscape, obviously, but still, that's really nice for Darklings. And have a bunch of digs. I got these priests from the stronghold. I'm going to use them all as priests. I don't have to convert any back down to workers or anything like that. And I guess it's a combination of maybe just overbidding. I paid the most. I think I was at low 20s to start the game. And just a really nice game by Rafa. No surprise there. We were talking about in the middle, one of the middle streams, about how when he was able to get C2 over to D3 and get the town there, as well as the landscape on E5 to connect everything, he's been in a really nice spot sort of all the way around. Them's the breaks sometimes. Maybe on the next stream I'll have dug in a little bit and seen if there were particular things that I missed. I thought I played this game about as well as I could have, and maybe the prices were just wrong at the beginning. So we'll see. I do right now. I mean, one thing that I guess I know is going slightly wrong in the moment is that I'm gonna have to take a coin town in round 6, which isn't ideal. It's not actually enough points to make the difference. So I can show you guys my calculation is this one right here, where I don't need to zoom it in, but I'm forecasting myself to lose somewhere between like 7 and 9 points, so it's not like a better town would make up the gap. But I do have to take a coin town in order to be able to build another TP and then another dwelling after the town. So that's what we're doing. I guess Rafa does actually need one more leech to get Act 5, which maybe he won't get. I don't think that also will not be enough to make up the difference here, but it would help if he's not able to get his last structure down. But yeah, I already did this out because I need another, before I take this town, just to do one more time. I basically need 8 resources to build, not counting priests, to do a TP and a dwelling. Right now I've got 5, so I could take the 2 worker town and then basically have to use a priest. There's no like one step for power that I can take, so I'm better off just using the priest as a priest, which means using this guy. The power town, I mean, it gets me an extra point, but the resource points at the end are gonna cancel out. And this way, I think I might actually have an option of building a temple if I wanted to. I'm not sure it'll be worth it, but I have to do the math on that. But I know that either way, like basically, if I take the coin town, I'll have 11 resources. I spend 8. I still have a point left over, and so that point makes up for the point difference on the power town, but potentially has upside. So that's the deal. Water 2, yeah. I mean, here, we can do this math right now. The temple, so I have enough workers, right? So to build a temple, a TP, and a dwelling would cost me 5, 8, 10 coins. So I've got 6. So to get 4, I mean, the problem is the most I can get from a temple is 1. So was 1 coin. So I don't really see any way to do this. Unless I want to like also send a priest. And at that point, I think I'm wasting too many points for something that's not worth it. So I don't think it's going to work out. Maybe if I get a free leech somewhere, I don't know where I would, but yeah. All right. And let's close out with everybody's favorite game. Engineers, sandwiched, revised base, extra scoring, all the fun. So this game has finally started to move, which is nice after a lot of long thinks early on. And things have continued to go reasonably well. So in round 3, which was a dwelling round, I was able to advance my ship to 2. And how did Barnwell get to E3? Yeah, we're going to talk about it. So I was able to advance my ship to 2, build H9, or sorry, H6, I9, and C5. C5 had being my Colt Spade from the one before, after Witches flew to B5. The Giants last round built a temple for, I think, Earth 1, right? No, Water 1. Water 1's gone, by the way, which is like the biggest sad of this game so far, besides the start. Water 1, and then, yes, he took a ship town, and the Nomads still haven't built their stronghold, and so they didn't want to double dig, hard dig, or anything like that for E4, and so Barnwell was able to grab E4. He also got his ship up to 2 with a manual ship advance this round, and so now he also got up to A6 and then just built on A3 because the Nomads didn't block him from it. So Barnwell's clusters aren't looking that great because he doesn't have another natural red that he's going to get to this game. But yeah, otherwise things are going pretty well for him also. The Nomads, I think we talked about, upgraded their ship, or no, used temp ship to get these extra dwellings out to like B1 and G4. Have now built a sanctuary for Rotter 1 this round, which is the first of the 2 back-to-back big building rounds, and have now built some TPs. I thought he was going to build a stronghold, but then he went ahead with his last action and built another TP, so maybe not. I guess he is on the TP scoring tile, so maybe his plan is to just build 4 TPs this round and then build the stronghold next round. I really don't know what Mellison is doing for towns here. That sanctuary is not forming a town, obviously. He now would have to make those E5, E6 into a town. His only option would be to take C2 and then bridge, which if he built a stronghold, he could have sandstormed it. But now, I mean, the Giants still have their action this round, so it wouldn't terribly surprise me if Barnwell took C2. I mean, potentially could be a town for him also, C2 through A6. So while the Nomads started on the fewest points, and even though they've got some scoring favors, yeah, I just don't know how many towns he's realistically going to get here. The Witches formed the second town of the game after the Giants had the first one, just this round. So they've got both big buildings out now. They just built their sanctuary. Took a single cult step town, I guess figuring that the 2 key town was not necessary. He was also already at step 9 on water. And so now he's got that town. He's going to continue to build out more. Yeah, towns are slightly less good with cluster scoring for sure, George. The interesting thing that I'm watching the Witches is if he's advancing his digging. I kind of think he probably should. He's got 4 priests sitting there, which honestly I don't even know how he got all those priests. But he's got 4 priests sitting there, and he's got enough. If he converts his power to coins, he's got enough to advance his dig this round. He would only be able to do something like dig D6 and throw down Witch's Flight building, but that's not terrible. And then he can start to dig out the rest here. I think the Witches are probably just ignoring cluster scoring and going for 3 towns. I mean, they have the most incentive to do so, and they also don't have a ton of natural greens to get to. One thing I've been looking at is am I trying to form a town in the southeast? My initial answer was yes, but if the Witches advance their digging like I expect them to, they will probably beat me to H8 and I11, at which point a town isn't necessary for me. And so now I'm wondering if I should be more pushing for just being greedy with points and clustering. The one thing that's positioned nice for me is, so the first action this round, I had full power. I was able to take double dig and throw my landscape onto H4, which is cool, one, because it's a decent way to form a town here in this center south. but also put me within range of G1. And I did go ahead then and advance my ship, partially to get there, and also because I'm on the ship scoring tile, so I'm going to score a nice 9 points at the end of this round. And G1's there, so that's what my action is going to be right now. Is I'm going to build this dwelling on G1. I'm going to build another dwelling on F1, and then I'll probably close the round with a TP, and then next round probably build a stronghold and some bridges. But I need to look a little bit at how many clusters I think people are going to get here, because I am definitely running into, as you've just said, George, like towns versus clusters trade-off. For me, if I can figure out how to like still score 6 or so cluster points, even third, while having some bridges down to score with the stronghold for a couple rounds, I think that's going to be my route this game, especially since I missed, as I said before, I missed water 1, so I don't have a ton of TP incentive. Like, I'll probably build TPs in round 6 because they're easy points, but I don't think I'm going to try to build a bunch before that. And so the question is, like, do I go for one kind of fancy town? Do I use all 3 bridges and build one just fancy town through here? Do I use 2 on this one, in which case I either need expensive TPs or like I7, and then but that would allow me to also try to build one up here, although that would also require sanctuary, which is just expensive. Like, I'm gonna have coin issues next round. So yeah, it's a tough puzzle. I have to figure it out. I know for a fact that this is my correct move right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, because this is points for a dwelling and production and a cluster that's going to be a cluster, like a standalone cluster, and also gets me to F1. Giants actually can't even reach F1 right now, even if they wanted to, although they don't want to. So that's going to be my couple moves this round. I'll take my 9 points. And, I do have a points lead, right? Like, I was the 40 faction for a reason. And so if I can greed enough points here, like, if I could find a way to pass onto the dwelling scoring tile at the end of this round, that would be amazing. But we'll see. I'm going to have to sort of do out the different end game scenarios and see what gives me the most points. But I think the answer is going to be build some bridges with a stronghold next round to try to score 15 or 18 points on the bridges by the end of the game, and then see if that's enough. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the dwelling scoring tile, but if he does advance his digs, that's like 1, 2. Yeah, it's still probably too many, so probably not. Probably wishful thinking. Maybe I can get on the if I can get on one of these coin tiles, that's pretty strong for me too, because if I want to build a stronghold next round, I'm going to need a nice handful to do so. So that's this game. That's all the games. So 2 games in the bag with a second and a third place in hand by my calculations. So unless I find a way to win these other 2 games, I think I probably won't win the league, but I also have been, positioned to not embarrass myself and finish last. So that's also nice. And now it's time for the fun announcement, which is that our league was chatting in our league Discord. And since all of these games are close to ending, maybe with the exception of this one, we've decided to run it back. So we're going to sort of, quote, off the record, do another set of games. We'll do different, like, same format in terms of people choosing and everything, but they won't be the exact same formats as these. And I guess I'll stream them, because why not? So we'll have check-ins for TMTL Div 1.2, maybe is what we'll call it. So that'll be fun. So we'll probably wait until these games finish up and then reset it and run it back, because why not more Terra Mystica, right? So stay tuned for that. That'll be fun, but we'll also see how this season plays out. The results are pretty scattered. In fact, here I can throw this up really quickly. So if you guys can see this. So the one game that I'm not in already finished. Simon won, and Mellison got second, Rafa third, and Barnawal fourth. So that Swarmlings game that's about to finish, Barnawal's winning, with me second, and Rafa third, and Mellison fourth, I think. So like the points are pretty even. Like I think other than me, maybe everyone's gonna have like a win after these. Well, I guess that's not quite true because there's only 3 games finished, so not everyone can have a win. But 3 different players will have a win, so it's a very competitive league. So it's definitely going to come down to the end, and maybe this wacky revised base game might end up deciding the league. So stay tuned. We'll check back in again soon. I'm off. I'm on bye for the Premier League tomorrow. I'm traveling, so I'll see you all later in the week, and then Premier League next week. Have a good one. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Terra Mystica Tuesday League turn-based Division 1. I'm MattTheLesser, and for those of you who have been following, we've been checking in every few days as this turn-based league has progressed, and we are getting down to the wire. 3 games in the league have already finished, so I will talk a little bit about those today, as well as one game that is going to finish live. There's 1 move left, and it's mine, and I'm going to pass, and we're going to watch the points roll out, and then we're going to talk about the game, and then we'll talk about the one super fun game that is still going on. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with the fun stuff. So those of you who've been watching will remember this game, Fire and Ice Factions on Fire and Ice map. This was my home game, landed on my beloved Ice Maidens. I've had a total blast playing this game, and everyone else has passed, and I'm about to pass for a beautiful 18 points. I've got the ship scoring tile with fully advanced shipping, and obviously 3 temples with the Ice Maidens for another 9 points. So it's going to be beautiful to see that come in. And yes, we did see the Driller in this game. It was a pretty fun game. We'll talk about it in a second. But I actually have this priest left that I have nothing to do with, so it's just going to sit there. You know what? We'll throw it to Earth because why not? And then we're going to pass. And here we go. There's my 18 points rolling in. So then going into final scoring, I was in the lead. I have pretty good cult position. So no air 1. Yeah, sadly. But that's all right. We'll watch the points run out. And we can do a little bit of a recap of this game. So, and people were talking about it in the chat a little bit, the game chat, the people playing, that Ice Maidens were the most bid faction in this game. I think I got them for like 17 or something, compared to Halflings were the 40 factions. Darklings were like high 20s, and Riverwalkers were low 30s. And so there we go. Finish out the game at 167. Oh, sorry, Rafa. But this was a really like cool and fun game, and for me, really showcases the power of the Ice Maidens landscape. I remember when I first read about the landscapes for the Fire and Ice factions. Thanks, Ghostly. Update that spreadsheet. We're going to talk about that in just a second. When I first read the landscapes for the Fire and Ice factions, since they're not on Snellman, which is where I've played most of my Fire and Ice games, I remember thinking the Sights Maidens one was good, but not crazy. Like, right, like the Acolytes one is crazy. The Riverwalker one isn't overpowered, but certainly makes the faction a lot more flexible, and that happened in this game too. But the Ice Maiden one. But the thing about the Ice Maidens is spades are something you struggle to come by at the beginning of the game. You often debate whether or not you want to try to go for that early double dig. But then especially if the spade tile's not there, right, you just struggle to put down hexes. You need spades for every single hex you want to build. But you do want to build early temples because they're ultimately going to score, and early temples are great for both economy and scoring. And this landscape gives you spades for building temples. It like gives you what you need for doing what you want to do, which is just really, really awesome, and really, really helped me out this game. I basically was able to take double dig. By being in first seed as Ice Maidens, you can guarantee double dig pretty much, as long as you think a power tile will get to you. In this case, that was true, along with Air 2. And so I was able to get that, put that landscape out immediately, and really I kind of rolled from there. Got the neighbors that I needed, able to have temples. Round 4 was got the 2-key town in round 3. Round 4 was stronghold scoring, so threw that out and started scoring those points. Round 5 was temple scoring, so got my final temple down, and then was able to build out my last town, even though Rafa never came and built on E6 like I wanted him to. I was able to build out this last town in round 6 and kind of clear the game. The fact that I managed to tie for the win on network was kind of icing on the cake. But yeah, I really didn't run into that many problems this game. I got lucky by getting the ship scoring tile in the middle of the game with a couple coins on it, which was really nice. I passed early in round 5 because I had enough resources to get it for round 6 for an extra 9 points here. And so just really a great game. All around, both like I had a plan and it actually worked, and no one really messed with it, and it justified the price that I paid for the faction. And it's always really nice when that all works out. As far as the rest of the game, we've talked a little bit about this in some of the past ones, but just to recap, Darklings had a really nice game overall. They were able to get 3 towns and 15 structures, tied for the win on network. I think the main reason they didn't score higher was they didn't have any scoring favors besides Air 1. They got boxed out of both Earth 1 and Water 1, which just limited their ceiling a little bit here. They had an interesting play all the way back in round 1 or 2. I remember when they decided to go ahead and build a temple in round 1, which is standard for Darklings, but they could have taken C4 instead and been able to get that town, and it really would have hampered the Riverwalkers a little bit more. But they decided to go this route, and for the most part, it worked out. The Riverwalker game was also pretty cool, other than he had an opportunity at one point to 5-power Priest and claim D4, and he didn't do that, which allowed Rafa to snag it as halflings and forced Simon to use his landscape up there where it is between D4 and B4, instead of in between somewhere B5 and E2, which meant that he had these 2 structures that were stranded. So even though he built 16 structures, which was the most in the game, he only scored 3 in the end, 3 network points, because those 2 structures were disconnected from his network. So, and this is a big danger as Riverwalkers in general, connecting your 2 initial structures. That landscape does make it easier, but by no means guarantees it. He was able to come over here to the west and get all the way down and build a 3rd town. Rafa blocked his final dwelling that could have been built on I3 and knocked him from a 3-way tie for first place down to tied for 3rd place, which took some points off his score, but ultimately didn't change. Well, it knocked him from 2nd place to 3rd place, but it didn't change the winner of the game. We did see landscapes from all 4 factions in this game. Darklings built their stronghold in the round 6 big building scoring round and were able to get their camp down. We even saw the driller from Rafa using stronghold up top to make his second town and get the driller down and get to 14 structures. And an interesting game on the Colts. One of the reasons I really liked Ice Maidens in this game is Ice Maidens can typically do pretty well on the Colts, and I was facing 3 factions who don't typically do that much on the Colts. Riverwalkers, because all of their early priests go to unlocking terrain, and Darklings digging, obviously, and Halflings want to usually upgrade shipping and digging, and so these are 3 of the better factions you could be playing against if you want to do on the Colts. I only ended up winning 1, but got 3 seconds, so 20 points on the Colts when I invested, also fully in upgrading, digging, and shipping. Felt pretty strong. So glad to win this game and get 1 win in the league under my belt. I think it's actually probably the appropriate time to look at the standings, which this win does jump me into first place, which is nice, but we'll talk in a second about whether or not that's going to hold. But amazingly, we've had 4 games finish in the league with 4 different winners. So Mellison is the only one who hasn't locked a win yet, but I think he's in a good position for the last game. So we may very well have 5 winners from 5 games, which would be quite incredible. It's really been a really cool competitive league. The 2 games of mine that have finished were, besides this one, I was able to nab seconds, which is what has me in first place. But if Barnawal wins the last game, for example, he'll win the league. If Simon wins and I get last, or even if I get third, no, if he wins and if he wins and I don't get second, then he wins. So it's really up for grabs with this last game. Let's take a quick look at some of the couple other games that finished. So there was this one, and I just realized that I may not be able to see the final. Damn, I can't see the final result live without tracking through, so I won't bother doing that right now. But this was the Fakirs game. I played Swarmlings. Barnawal's Stronghold Fakirs was really nice, and he managed to pull out the win. I think we talked about this one quite a bit. This was the first one that finished, so this one I feel less bad about being able to go through. And then we've got this game. Oh, this game, right. So this game, hopefully I can get to... Nope, I still can't get to it. So this was the... I know, it really is annoying, Ghostly. But this game was the Lakes game, where Rafa was playing Dwarves. And the last time we were talking about this, I was convinced at the time that I was getting third, behind Melison's Chaos Magicians, and I was playing Darklings. In the end, a few things happened, and you can go back and check out the game to see these, that I did manage to sneak a second place here, partially due to bad math and partially due to some help. So the bad math was Melson had already double advanced his digging, and I hadn't counted one of them. So I was actually 6 points closer than I thought I was, and that helped quite a bit with me being able to nip into second place. But also, even with that, I would have been down by a point, except we got to the very last move of the game, or moves of the game, and Simon had a cult step and 2 priests left, and the only thing he had any value to do with them was to go up 3 steps on fire and tie Melson for first place. So that cost Melson 2 points, and you see I beat him by 1 point. So a really tight, really close finish. Most of the points that I was making on the last stream, I think, are still valid here. In that I'm still a little curious as to, candidly, how Chaos Magicians scored so many points. They did really well in the Colts, but I still want to go back and look at this, and I didn't score quite as many as Darklings as I thought I had the opportunity here to. But I did finish 3 towns and covered last time, but a really, really nice game from Rafa's Dwarves here. He got the landscape in the middle, and that red hex right in the middle, which is really nice. Was able to dig across and get a town in the town round, which also hindered the Chaos Magicians' play. and build out some tunnels. I think Rafa said in the game chat toward the end, like he was surprised that I didn't dig at any of his grays, which I could have, but I had just enough priests to sort of do everything that I wanted to do, and particularly in those middle rounds where there are those 2 yellows that are good connection hexes, and I really wanted both of those to be able to connect everything on one ship, and that was the only way to do that. So that's where this game ended up, and now we can finally talk about the last one, which is everybody's favorite. All righty. So, oh wow, everyone's passed. This was not the case last time I looked at this. So here we are in round 5. Thanks, Deranged. Yeah, Ice Maidens was really cool. I'm really glad that game. Everything went to plan. In the rare circumstance. This game, as you all know, is revised base and 4 factions that are adjacent on the color wheel. I ended up being the chump maybe who jumped to engineers, to sandwiched engineers at 40 points. But I've been doing my best. I've been mostly trying to greed points. Yeah, it's my turn, Rafa. I know I've been the slowest. It's been a combination of traveling and trying to save some moves up for when I could do a stream and get a little content. So I apologize for that. You guys are so fast. It's crazy. Anywho, I've been trying to greed points in this game, and I've kind of committed to a line. Like I wanted to kind of jump on and talk about the decision I was facing a couple of moves ago. Barnawal passed 1 turn earlier this round than I expected him to, and he passed first onto the onto the dwelling tile here, which would have been quite nice for me. I'm gonna get on the ship tile, which is like total saving grace. But passing on to the dwelling tile here, if that had lasted 1 more round, I was seriously contemplating a line of digging engineers to try to build out as many dwellings and TPs in the last round, and likely building no towns. And I don't know if it would have been enough to go for the win, but for the past like 24 hours, I've kind of been just thinking like, oh, what if? Because I think it would have been a really fun line just to see. Instead, I'm doing like the exact opposite, which is I'm now going to kind of go tall. And you can see I'm in the middle of building out this town, D6, C5, D7. I'm going to build both big buildings this round. It is a big building scoring round. Score this bridge. Potentially, I think I'm going to have enough to score another bridge. But my round 6 is going to be a lot worse, and I'm basically ceding any chances I had at any like end game scoring, except for cults. So I'm going to get a decent amount of cult points. So I don't know if this is the right approach. I think I couldn't have afforded to pass a turn earlier anyway, so maybe the other line was dead, and I really needed coins action next round to make it even viable. But I'm definitely going to be hurting for coins next round, because after I built this sanctuary, that the second temple power income that you get as engineers is now gone. So we'll see how this works out. It's kind of the line I was planning on most of the game anyways. So like it doesn't really surprise me that I ended up here, but at the same time, I'm just gonna there's gonna be a what if about me every time I think about this game, because I've spent more time probably thinking about this game just because it's such a complex puzzle, right? So for anyone who hasn't been watching or needs a refresher, like the reason this game has been so tricky, well, there's a few reasons. The first reason is just that the neighbors on the color wheel. And so carving out territory has been really quite complicated for me, and honestly for everyone. I spent a lot of time, I think, on the first stream talking about D6 and G3 and how was I going to get those, and angling to be able to get the temp ship and double dig and preventing people from getting the priest, and eventually that mostly worked out. But then giants. So let's talk about last round for a second, because this has mostly happened since people have been or since I last checked in. So giants were on E4 and D2 over here, and we're going to be building out this town. And the witches, basically both. I was surprised that both the nomads and the giants allowed the witches to advance ship and then build on C2. And I was very surprised at this for a number of reasons. Number one is it's a potential town spot for both factions, but particularly for nomads who, the only way they were going to get a town with E5 and E6 once giants built on E4 was to do a bridge town off of C2. So they just, I guess, decided that wasn't worth it. They are going to win clusters, it looks like. So maybe they just decided it was better to keep everything apart. But they didn't do it. And giants, both to block the witches from more clusters themselves, and also that's a potential town spot for them that they're clearly not going for too, between D4 up to A6. And now the witches were able to get that, and then that also allowed them to do some flights to A3 and D1, and all of a sudden they have way more clusters. So this has actually influenced my situation a lot, because right now, or sort of before I built this bridge, I was sitting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters. And witches are now going to finish with, they've already got 7. They'll probably get an 8th if they need to get an 8th, they'll get an 8th, especially since giants then blew up their town. So here's the other thing that happened last round, and this is probably why giants didn't go for C2. They instead advanced their ship to 3 and were able to dig over on C4, which also gave them a 12. But by taking both of those, witches could no longer get a town in the northwest, because they'd already used their sanctuary in the center. So this was a really cool move from Barnawall to get a couple more clusters himself, get access to one more natural red, and potentially even another one if he digs D8 next round. But so Barnawall is now going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 clusters himself. He's got infinite workers here, 23 workers next round. So, if he has to do a couple of 4 worker digs to get more dwellings down, he's going to do that. Plus one more town. So this game is not ending live on this stream, Civ. Maybe in the future. We ended the previous game a little bit live, so you have to go back and watch the VOD, the Ice Maidens game. So this one, but so with all these people sort of pushing for clusters, it actually makes me pushing for clusters worse, because I'm going to be competing. So if I'd been able to get the digging line, then maybe I could have beat them anyways, and then all their investment kind of becomes useless. But at the same time, it's also well, if I'm going to be sort of fighting for the last couple of cluster positions anyways, maybe just forget it and sort of say, okay, let's just take the bridge points instead. So that's kind of where I've landed with this. I'm sad. And digging engineers is so fun, and I think it would have been the right move. But alas, you can only sometimes do with the options that are presented to you. Nomads towns deranged. Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit last time, that once he didn't, well, at the time he could have gone for C2, but I think he also just decided to go for clusters over towns. He didn't build his stronghold until this round 5. So he doesn't have a lot of sandstorms that he's placed. Used one on A8 this round and went ahead and hard dug A7. I actually was thinking he might try to push his town until next round, because the witches actually don't want A10, because it would take a cluster away, and the witches weren't going to take A7. So unless giants managed to take those, he could have done one of those with his first action. So I was a little bit surprised that he wasted a hard dig. But I guess he wanted to go ahead and get a town. When he first did it, so he took a priest town. That town that's on A7 is a priest town. When he first did it, I thought it was because he wanted to advance his ship to 3 so he could fully score it, since he's going to need it ultimately for connection anyways. But then he didn't do that either. So that was a little bit surprising. But Melison's still having a really nice game here. He's gonna win clusters, I think, and maybe win network. Ghostly, I think you commented on TPs. Yeah, it's definitely a concern for me. I only have one spot. I'm either going to have to try to find somewhere new, or what I'm actually leaning toward right now is just building a couple expensive ones. And I realize that I don't have like extra coins to do this, so I'm going to have to figure out how. But if you look at, like, once I build this stronghold on D6, I'm going to want to build more bridges. And I'm going to want to build another town. The best town plus bridge option is to bridge from F4 to G3 and then also from H4 to I9 with the landscape. The problem is, like, doesn't provide me any good spots. And so my two options for forming that town are really build 2 expensive TPs on G3 and I9, or try to double dig I7 and build a dwelling and then a TP there. So both of those are like options. I actually do think I'm going to have enough for double dig because I think I'm taking the 2 key town here. It gets me points on all 4 cults. And those are all relative points, so it's going to be worth it, even though it only scores 2 here. It does give me 1 extra worker for next round too. So I guess we can start doing some of this. So let's do this. I know I've been wanting. I thought 3 rounds ago about how I was going to want a 4th bridge this game and didn't have it. It'd be a total game changer for me. Why not just double bridge in the south plus 1 cheap? Because it ends up being the same problem. Super. Like, I still need 2 expensive TPs because I need 1 more bridge, right? Because I've used a bridge in the north. So, yeah, it ends up being exactly the same. So, sure, I could do it that way if I wanted to. I am going to build TP on H6 next round, so I could do it. It's the same thing. But so I am going to go ahead and take this 2 key town. And we've got all of this. And so now, so this is great. I was able to pick up some power. Roth is not in this game, so he gets to watch finally. So okay, so now we have to decide, is my inclination here is to go ahead and build another bridge. I'm going to want the bridge anyways, and it's going to give me 3 points when I pass. That's pretty good. The only question is it going to overly inhibit what I do next round, right? So I have 4 equivalent points on 4 equivalent power right now, and I'm going to make 3 because I have 3 normal power production, plus I'm going to get 3 from the ship tile that I'm going to pass on to. So that'll leave me with 4. I also have water 2, George. I took water 2 with this sanctuary. So I'm going to use that cult step. Am I still taking leech? It depends on what it is, what I need. Probably coins are like quite good for me. I do think that this next town that I get next round is probably gonna be a coin town, just so I can try to build more TPs and maybe dwellings. But I also need like an ideal round for me next round is building a town and like 4 TPs. So 4 TPs and the bridge is 6 workers. I've got 7. If I can do water to air for another worker. So that's what I'm intending to do most likely here. And then I'll have 8. And so if I only need to spend, but I probably need, I might have to like spend 3 of them to build a dwelling. If I want to build another TP. So like F2 is the candidate hex for that. So like, I think the 3 points is going to be worth it if I don't go the double dig route. Like, the reason to not take the bridge here is if I want to have enough leech for double dig on I7, but I don't think that's the right play. Because I'm not competing on network anyways, right? I've got 3, 6, 7. I've got 10. Oh, it's on my thing. I've got 10. Giants are going to be well ahead of that. Nomads are going to be well ahead of that. Witches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they've also got 10 once they connect. And I'm going to want to build like at least 3 more structures. So there's no way I'm competing on network. So dwellings are really only valuable for the points and getting places that I can build cheap TPs. Which, like, a hard dig is only 3 workers. If I'm using workers as coins anyways, then it's actually not, versus an expensive TP, it's only 1 more resource. 1 resource for 2 points is a pretty good deal. So I'll probably try to do that on F2. And I think I have enough to do all of that if I take a bridge here. So plus, like, I can get a decent, like a little leech at least. Like, nomads will probably build on I7 if I leave it alone for them. That's like 1, but I need 1. So, and I can send priest of cults. I have air, I have water 2 here. So I'm going to go ahead and do water 2 for air to get myself 1 more worker for next round. I'm going to build this bridge in the middle here so that I can pass for 6. And then I'm going to finally pass for this very nice ship scoring tile. And my hope here will be that nomads do not use their first action to send a priest to Earth, because, and I'm kind of thinking there's a chance that happens because they do need another ship in order to connect. And so if I can lock down Earth, pick up 3 more power that way, I'll be in pretty decent shape to get my town and keep going from there. Now, will all of that be enough to win or even come close to winning? I'm really not sure. Like, Barnawal is going to take coins here, and then, I mean, maybe even advances digging as giants. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. And try to get to, maybe 15 structures. He's got 1 more town coming in. So I think he's in a pretty good spot. And nomads, as we talked about before, are going to win clusters. I think he's also a contender for probably 14 structures because he doesn't have another temple, so that would be a lot. But like, if he can get like H3 and H1 and I7, I mean, he's got places to build. I think witches are probably in the roughest spot here, although again, they have 20 workers. Like, there are so many workers in this game because both rounds 4 and 5 were big building scoring rounds, which come with worker bonuses. So everyone's just completely loaded up. It was why digging engineers was like potentially viable, because even though I didn't actually get any in round 4, but I was going to get left. How many workers are left in the supply? That's a great question, George. Let's see. 5 workers are left in the supply. I don't think I've ever seen that. That's actually really crazy. So that's this game. This game never ceases to entertain. I wrote in the chat earlier that it hurts my brain. I think some of you in chat in prior streams were saying that also. So yeah, this game, round 6, and it kind of feels wide open. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for joining. If any of, and by the way, the stakes are everything here, right? If any of me, Simon, or Barnwell win this game, that person wins the league. So it's all up in the air. If Mellison wins, then it depends on the rest of the placement ordering. So it's all here for the taking. We'll see what happens. We'll try to come back and close this game next time, either close or very close to the end. So thanks for joining. Hope you all are enjoying this game and have been enjoying the stream. As I said last time, I think our league's going to confirm that everybody's in. But we'll try to keep doing some more turn-based content. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe I'll do some on Snellman or something. But have a great weekend, everyone, and see y'all soon. And I'll be back for the Premier League on Tuesday. I was on my bye this week, but coming back with a vengeance. I need a win. I need a win there to complement the win that I just showed you guys finish out here. All right, so take care, everybody. See you soon.
Okay, there we go. That was the last of Matt's solo streams, with some of the games finishing up there and some carrying on. But there's still one more really great video to come, which is the debrief, where he got his fellow division players to all join together and talk about the games in a little extra debrief stream, which is well worth coming back, because you get to hear the views of all the other players. Again, click somewhere, maybe, hopefully, to watch it. Yeah, trivia. I'm struggling to find trivia. So, Terra Mystica trivia this week, we're just going to go with, did you know that the picture of the swarmlings on the faction board is inspired by Super Chinese face? We're just going to go with that. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. See ya.